Taryn Atwell here from Living Off Rentals, and today we have a very, very special guest. And I'm going to introduce her in just a second. But first, I want to talk about where we're sitting right now. So I'll let you actually share. Where are we sitting?
We're sitting in our soon-to-be master bedroom / I'm in the bathroom, kind of.
Beautiful.
On the vanity.
Really know how to show a great spot for a video. So this is our newest acquisition. We just bought this house 3 days ago. We closed on Friday afternoon, and now it's Monday, and we've already started day one of demo. You can probably hear our contractors working in the background still. And what this place is, what this house is a 10.5 acre farm, and it's the culmination of a lot of looking over the last year. We were looking for something very specific, a place where Taryn could have her vision of what her business is going to be, which is a antique shop, and we needed a cool barn to have it in, and then I wanted some land to put some tiny houses on that we could rent out through Airbnb. And so we've been searching for acreage like this, and the intent of it, the why of why we're buying this house, because after we've closed on this house, we've had several different contractors come through here. They're like, why are you doing, like, you're moving from this lake house that, you get these beautiful views of Lake Michigan, and it's a really nice house that we rehabbed a few years ago, and we're like moving backwards in life from their perspective, and they're like, most people go the other way. And it's very intentional. We're not doing like the freedom that you get from ignoring what all your friends think, or what you're going to be thought of, and just doing what makes the most sense for you and for your family. It's incredible. And so what we wanted to do was eliminate our biggest cost, which is housing, and find this place that, could host what we've dreamed of. And also, at the same time, not only eliminate the cost of housing, but also pay us to be here, actually, because we've got a couple different businesses on the same place, and we're going to live, it doesn't look like it now, but we're going to live in what's going to be our dream house. So that's kind of what this property is. And so now to get to who my guest is, who you can probably surmise from the context here, it's my lovely wife, Taryn. And after probably about 70 of these videos and interviews, talking about the whole journey from 2006, buying my first rental property, all the way up until now, all the lessons learned. She's been a huge part of that, a huge supporter of me personally, and then also of the business. She's our decorator. She sets up all the Airbnbs now. She even went as far as to get her real estate license just about a year ago to sell our house and provide me legal access to the MLS through her. Legally. And, just support our business, even though she has no interest in taking clients around and being an actual realtor. So what we thought would be cool, or what I thought would be cool, and what the Powerhouse planning team that helps us put this together thought would be cool, would be for me to put her on the spot now, and interview her, and ask her some questions about, this journey that we've been on. And I think a lot of people can relate to this. A lot of people work in some capacity with their spouse, and, some are on board with their spouse a lot more than others. But I think, we've learned a lot over the years working together. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. And so I want to get into some of the lessons that we've learned, and hopefully this can help you if you're in a similar situation trying to work with your spouse in this crazy real estate investing adventure. So thank you for joining me and agreeing to this.
No problem.
Yeah, the questions are going to be hard.
Okay, ready. Do you have the questions?
I don't. Cut. All right, so the way that we structured this is we asked the community, we polled the community and asked them, what questions are you curious about that you'd like to dive into our deepest parts of our personal life and have us explain on a video? And so these are the questions that we got back. So are you prepared?
Totally. I'm not really, but
All right, so it starts off pretty easy. The first part is more of just like intro questions to kind of get some context, provide some background to the viewers, and then we get into the really hard questions. All right. So first off, how did you all meet? Was it some sort of entrepreneurial Chip and Joanne Gaines type conference?
No, we met on a boat at the Chicago boat scene party. Is that like the proper title?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a proper.
Yeah, nothing about that is proper.
Yeah.
In 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, on a boat.
So it's not like the mecca of romance typically. I think
Yeah.
there was a yacht with a stripper pole parked next to us.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were very classy.
That's right.
It was bad weather.
Yeah, it was like 30 degrees out.
So nobody was really crazy. It was very nice.
Yeah.
Nice way to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We met on a boat. 2013. All right. How many years have you been married?
5 as of a month ago. 1 month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost exactly.
Yeah.
How many children do you have, and what are their ages?
Rex is 3, and he is the personality of 7 kids combined into one. And Corey is 10 months tomorrow. And she's just sweet and easy as can be.
Yeah.
They balance each other out very well.
Yeah. It was a good order to get them in.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, we're right in the thick of things right now, that's for sure. How many houses have you taken on together?
Okay, so when we met, you had just started Frankfurt, which is the first one we moved into together. And we planned out the closet to that one on like our 4th date. We were in IKEA. And he was like, I'm thinking one side will be the girl's side and one side will be the guy's side. I'm like, who's the girl? Am I planning my own closet or someone else's closet? This is really awkward. And
could have been anyone.
Yeah, could have been anyone. But you got stuck with me. And so that was the first one. And then we did the Airbnb in our current house, which is kind of like 2 separate units, I guess. But that was like our first Airbnb experience. And then from there we did, we're going to do this one, that's 4, but then we have 5 other Airbnbs in Michigan City, so
Plus
9.
Our basement Airbnb.
Well, no, I counted that one in the first one. So 9, I'd say we've done together, and then, but on top of that, you've probably done 100 since I've known you, so 109.
109.
Nice round number. I'll say
Exactly,
109. Final answer.
Yeah. So I was doing a lot of flips when we first met, and then transitioned into rentals, long-term rentals, and then really when we got into short-term rentals primarily is when you really, I put you to work. Whether it was
Noblesville, I forgot about Noblesville. That's an 11 unit. So it is a nice round number. 109 plus 11 is 120.
120. All right. So 120 projects together, and now we're just starting our 120. Is this our 120?
I think
we'll
this
call
is
it
our
our 120. Yeah. All right.
We look forward.
And by the way, why we're here too? Like we're doing this video here because we're starting a series on this Living Off Rentals channel where we're gonna like chronicle the whole rehab here, and we're gonna talk about like why we're making the decisions we're making, why we bought this place, all the problems that we run into, because inevitably we're just planning on problems after 120 rehabs, and then the after, like what it's gonna turn into, and we're starting with the house. Hopefully that will be just a few months, and then we'll have some after videos of that. And then we'll start on the barn and the outside and all that. So, but we're hoping to have a place to move into first. All right, so that was the speed round just to get you warmed up. Here are the deep questions. So what is it like being married to an entrepreneur / rental property investor?
In one word, it would be chaos. No, it's good. It's just, I think you have to be on the same page, I would say. You've always done this. Like I've always known you as an entrepreneur. When I met you, you were living in your parents' basement and working really hard. And so, I mean, that was never like a deterrent, obviously. You work really hard. You always work really hard. It's hard because there's no off switch. Like it would be nice to have a job like a waitress or a receptionist where you go home, your phone is off, your email is off, and you're done for the day. I don't think that will ever be our life. But we do have like a great support system in our parents who take care of our kids, Allison, our babysitter, who takes care of our kids, and then like support system with cleaning the Airbnbs and hosting the Airbnbs now, thank God. So now that a lot of that has started to transition, it's become easier, but I would say it takes a while to find your groove, I guess, as a couple working together. Communication is key, but I think we're still working on that. Like, I would say we're great communicators, but like the other day I asked you, do we have a coffee maker at Big Blue, which is like our most recent Airbnb rental that just went live? And he said, yeah, it's in the basement. And he meant in the basement of our house, like that we live in. And I thought he meant in the basement, which is a separate Airbnb. I thought he meant in the basement of Big Blue. So I was like, great, we have it. So our guest did not have a coffee maker, which was a oopsie, but we're okay. 5 stars anyway.
Yeah.
Around the board.
That's true.
We're good.
And living in my basement was just a screening mechanism to make sure.
Living in your parents' basement. If you were living in your own basement, it would have been even better.
Yeah.
You would have been more appealing.
I needed to make sure that you were serious about me.
I was, clearly.
Yeah. So what has been the best and worst real estate investing memory you have had with 3-bed homes?
Gosh. Best? I don't know. The Airbnbs are fun because it's like, Airbnbs are awesome because almost everyone who goes on vacation is happy to be on vacation. So like your communication with them, my communication with them, our relationship together is mostly dealing with like happy people. Occasionally like we have an internet outage where we drive 10 minutes to like go fix it, or you do at the Airbnbs, but that's like not a huge deal. So those have been fun. I would say that's like the most fun part is just meeting different people and seeing where they're from. We had a couple from Germany stay with us for a week a year or two ago, which was really cool. So just kind of meeting new people and experiencing that. The worst, oh gosh, Frankfurt, when we rehabbed Frankfurt, it was like 2 days, no, it was the last day. They were finishing up the contracting work and we got red tagged.
Shut down.
That's
right.
So we couldn't move in.
Yeah.
So it was like we were ready to move in, and then it was like you can't move in. So
yeah, apparently there were parts of that project we were supposed to have permits on that we did not.
Yeah. We never don't pull permits. We always pull permits.
Exactly. And I always follow government rules.
Yeah.
And so they showed up and shut us down right before we were about to move in, which was kind of painful.
Right.
But we got it resolved and worked through it.
And that wasn't a huge, like, there are probably bigger ones that I'm not thinking of because I don't pay attention to the numbers like you do, but like monetary wise, there are houses we've been upside down on for sure.
Yeah.
So those are way worse than like delaying moving in by 2 weeks by far, but I just don't remember those because it didn't like affect me personally in that moment.
Yeah, if we get into the contractor stories and the pain that we've gone through before finding just a great crew that we've got now with Gerardo and Chico, and it just that we could go on. This would be a long video, but in terms of projects we've worked on together, I think that's probably I'd agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So how do you divide your time between responsibilities at home and work and business?
I don't. Like it all blends together. My children are screaming for my attention and I'm telling someone where like the coffee is located in the house. I feel like a terrible mom. I think that's like a working mom in any situation though. You never feel like you're fully doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's literally like during naps, in between diaper changes, like all that stuff. That's when I'm trying to get stuff done. I think we try to pride ourselves on like quick response time for Airbnbs and like being the best hosts and the customer's always right and all that, but it's difficult when you're a mom because you've got screaming children half the time. But again, the support system, like our parents jump in all the time, they help us. Allison, the babysitter, is like a savior. I love her. So, just kind of, it's right now it feels like we're flying by the seat of our pants, but we also just hired Jennifer, who is taking over hosting responsibilities, and she has like saved my life also. Yeah. Lots of messiahs around us.
Yeah, and that's really it. I mean, that's what I always tell people is like, you really, in the beginning, you got to bite off more than you can chew. I mean, because you can't just...
We're like joking, Kirby.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but we were for a while. We've been up too much, I'd say.
And you don't want to overdo it, but at the same time, you got to test your systems, and that's how it grows. Like, you don't just create like an org
Feed
chart.
your life to the wolves and say, go, my go.
You got to jump in the deep end and learn it. So you don't create like an org chart and say, okay, these are the 20 people that are going to be on my team, and go out and hire 20 people, because you bankrupt yourself, right? So, when people talk about hiring and, should I hire, should I not hire? Like, you got to press it to where like you're at capacity, and then you organically grow. And that's how, it's just been all these saviors that have come on our team. Because we've been looking for that person. Like initially it was Gerardo, and he took on all these projects, and then Heather came on as my assistant, and then Jennifer and Elson, and so they all do specific tasks that take so much off of our plate.
But I also think it's like important for us to do those things first before we hire other people to do them, because like otherwise you don't know what kind of questions you're going to get. So like right now, Jennifer will text us occasionally, like, I don't know how to answer that question. If I had never answered that question before, I wouldn't know how to answer it either. So like doing that work from the bottom and like getting into the nitty gritty of every part of your business and knowing it up and down, and being willing to like, I was cleaning Airbnbs when Rex was like learning to crawl. And so like we had a 4-hour gap between check in, check out of our house. And I'd be like down there pulling him by the foot away from the stove as I was like mopping, the floor.
Nursing him with one arm. And,
I was nursing Corey when I was taking classes for real estate. So it's like, you feel pretty stretched thin, but like, again, you do, I agree you have to push yourself. But we did bite off a lot.
Yeah. We didn't break yet.
It was good. No, we didn't break. We did.
All right, next question. Why are we making this move from the beach house to the old farmhouse? Kind of talked about this a little bit, but...
Yeah, but you missed a very important part. The animals. Kirby has always dreamed of being a farmer.
That's exactly
his whole life.
Why.
No, we had chickens when we lived in Frankfurt, and then we moved away and couldn't have them on a sand dune, and I really want goats. So that's part of it. But I would say we're doing it just to basically eliminate our cost of living like altogether. It was, I think, really smart to do that in our house, how we made the lower level an Airbnb. And it's totally separate from our house. Like, people enter through a different way, so it didn't really disturb us in any way. It was an awesome source of revenue. But this even more so, where, we're building tiny houses like further away on our property. And it's just kind of a way to eliminate our total cost. I mean, the cost of this house versus the cost of our other house, everything is lower. It's less square footage. It's also... How old? Because we thought it was 100 years old. No, we thought it was 93 years old when we bought it. We closed on it, and then the neighbor came over the night we closed and was like, oh no, the addition was put on in 1927.
It's pre-Civil War. It's 1853, somewhere in there.
Yeah, so that explains the timbers as floorboards in the basement. So it is old. I don't know that it makes me any more scared than I don't think I'm really scared. I think I'm just excited, which is probably stupid, but I think that's the way kind of you have to be in real estate too. So
you know what I mean, scared.
Yeah. You have low expectations. Like, I don't think everything's going to go perfectly, but
we built in margin, got a good deal. And and I think also it kind of, we created a vision of what we wanted our life to look like. And it was more time, it was more time together, and it wasn't like, I would trade 10,000 square feet of house that some people aspire to. Like, they work their whole lives so they can finally build this 10,000 square foot house that you never even see wings of. Instead, like, I would, we both agreed, like, we just want to spend time together, spend time raising the kids, and even if it's in more of a remote area, which it's not even that remote, it's like, we're not really even sacrificing that much. We're going to live in the house that we want. It's just a little bit smaller than the house we were in before.
And I like that.
Eliminates,
it's like less clean. I mean, if we have more kids, we're going to have to like kick out a wall here or there. But I just think it's less. I mean, it gives our kids more room outside, basically. Like right now, we're literally on a sand dune. Like, I cannot let Rex outside without him taking off and tumbling down a sand dune. But here I can be like, get outside.
9 times out of 10, like when I talk to people about Airbnbs, and this is why I tell people Airbnbs are so profitable, the response is, you really want people on your property, or you really want to rent out your house that you just rehabbed and have people have parties. and we had 0 people at parties, which it can happen.
But we're also like super strict on who we accept.
Yeah.
Like we're not
It
like,
doesn't hurt our profitability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, so I think because that's the response of 9 people out of 10,
Right.
most people are not willing to do this.
Right.
And so it leaves such a huge opportunity when you're willing to step outside and do something that's a little bit different than like the average. So yeah, so I think that's a good summation of why we're doing this. So what do you think your lives will look like 5 years down the road, and how did you get aligned on goals?
okay, I can answer how we get aligned on goals because I specifically remember a dinner in Mexico on our honeymoon when you wanted to do some goal setting. And so
Romantic goal setting.
totally romantic. And I gave you a really hard time for it, but we did write down our goals, and they were all like true within 6 months to a year. And they were like big goals. They were like, you wanted to start a new business. We wanted to move to Indiana. We wanted to have a baby within X amount of time. And like everything happened like right on par. So I did make fun of you, but you were right.
But I think that's like a key, because like if we hadn't done that, you know, like if you wanted to move to Indiana and I wanted to stay in Illinois, or like we wanted to, you know, be in a different financial positions, you know, like we're working in different directions, you know, and so you're going to get frustrated because I'm like working toward this goal you don't know about, or you're not like on board with.
Right. Well, and I think that's like, I mean, that's true like of marriage in general. Like the best thing you can do, I think, is pick someone who has the same priorities as you. So like we always had the priority, like, let's be with our kids and each other as much as possible. So like every decision we've made since then leads towards that end goal. So like all of those goals were leading towards this, you know what I mean? So as much as I make fun of you, you were right, goal set, write it down. It's crazy how quickly it comes true. So
I didn't know you made fun of me about that.
Yeah, right. Wait, what was the first part of that question? I guess what you said, right?
So what do you think your lives will look like 5 years from now?
Oh, okay. So next to this property, there is more land that has the potential to be purchased by us, which I would love. Not only because it's beautiful and it appeals to the emotional part of me, because I'm an emotional being, but also because it's logical and it should appeal to you, because we could set up awesome tiny houses all over it and build like patio, fire pit, TVs, yurts if we want, Airstreams. I mean,
10.5 acres after 3 days is
like half of that 10.5 acres.
cramped.
No, no, it's not too cramped, but it's wet. We can't put a yurt in the middle of a lake. We can't do it. So we got to put them over on that field over there. There's just, it's beautiful. I think it's a very smart financial decision. And on top of that, it just aligns with what we want to do here. So I'm not like, oh, I want more land because I just want to own more land. I don't care about like what I own. I just really want to be able to go over there with my animals.
Yeah, so you have your business, we'll have rentals, we'll, you know, be able to hang out here with the kids, and, you know, just, I think it's going to be a much better lifestyle.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think, question number 6, who do you think is more of a risk taker, more creative, and more tech savvy as our contractor continues to work in the basement?
You're still more tech savvy, even though we didn't plan that out very well. So you're more tech savvy. I'm more creative, and what was the other one? Risk taker. You're more a risk taker with money. I'm more of a risk taker in general. So
I call it calculated risk.
Calculated. So I don't really think like super far in advance. Like I think when we got married, you said, do you have a 401k? And I was like, yeah, I got some papers somewhere from like 3 previous jobs I worked at. I'd never like rolled anything over because they were asking for so many pieces of information. I was like, I don't want to look up my social security number. So you handled it all, and you were like, do you know you have like thousands of dollars just sitting in these accounts? And I was like, no. You were like, we're going to buy a house with it. I was like, cool. So I'm glad to have you as my logical. But even on the logic side too, we took the right brain, left brain test. You were like 93% left brain, which is like analytical, numbers, logic. And I was 90% right brain, which is like creative, like go with the flow. So I don't know how it works, but it works.
Yeah. So we're like 6% on the same page.
Yeah.
Which is great.
No, we're on the same page. We're just very different.
Yeah.
I think.
But it
our
works.
goals are aligned. Yeah.
I agree with all that in terms of, the order of those things. So if you could give advice to new couples taking this adventure, what would you tell them?
Oh, I don't know that I'm like a good person to answer that question because I've always known you as an entrepreneur. So like, I don't know how I would feel if like you worked a 9-to-5, made a great salary, and I stayed home with the kids, and all of a sudden you were like, I'm going to quit my full-time job and go buy some houses. I'd be like, huh? But I've always known you as like this entrepreneur and this real estate guy. And the main thing I think is like, I always knew you were a hard worker. So like you lived in your parents' basement. When we met.
A few times, actually. I don't anymore.
You don't. We live in this lovely home
That's
built
right.
in 1850 something.
You had to know when you married me. This is what you're going to get.
Yeah. So, no, but you always worked hard. So like, I knew you were going to be successful because like you looked at a moldy house and you were like, awesome, asbestos, sweet. Like, it was like you looked for the opportunity and things that other people would look at and like go running from.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know what advice I would give to people who have steady jobs and are like, I want to go do this. Maybe don't take it on full time right away, but like definitely do it if you're interested in doing it. I mean, no house is too small. Like, just figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
That sounds easy,
I mean, it kind of goes to your first point. Like if I was working 9-to-5 and I came home and was like, we're going to make $1 million, I'm quitting my job and we're going to be rich overnight and we're going to spend all, put all our savings into this. Like, of course, the spouse is going to have issues. And I think that's like the approach people take. They go to a seminar, they come home and it's like, they're fired up. But I think...
But like we scrub toilets, just to say something like between Airbnbs, if nobody's available to clean, you and I will be in there scrubbing toilets. So like, it's not all like, look how many properties they own. They must be living the life. Like there are days when we're like driving out to Airbnbs to like get people toilet paper because they can't drive to their local Walgreens and get toilet paper. So like there are...
Until you have systems for all that. But like, I'd say introduce it slowly, to your spouse.
Right.
Like that's, maybe start with the small property. Like you said, like our first property was a $26,000, rental in GBH Holdings or GBH Homes that it was bought in our self-directed IRA.
Right.
And
Thank God we had that IRA.
That's
from all those jobs I worked and never transferred over.
What would we have done? So, and we tested the waters. It worked out on a small one, and then we continued to build from there. So, all right, question number 8. What do you wish you would have known when we first started in the real estate investing venture?
I don't know that there's anything like I would have. I mean, maybe I would have been more willing to like jump in had I known like how fun it was. But I think like the mold and asbestos stuff scared me. I was like, I don't want to like mess with that. But like then the more you're into it, like the numbers make more sense and I'm becoming more logical like you, which is terrifying. But what kind of deal you can get on something, so you're excited about it. Mm-hmm. Whereas a lot of things are like scary to most people. But like just because we've done this for this long doesn't mean we haven't been like upside down on houses before. Like semi-recently you came home and you were like, and like, one of the houses was just a mess and it turned out to be a terrible investment. But like you learned from that even this far into the game because you've been investing in real estate for how long? So like you never stop learning, which is awesome. You always are growing. But I think just with like technology now and Airbnb and all of that and all these new travel sites and everything, it's like the possibilities are kind of endless. So I don't know if there's anything I wish I would have known. Maybe be less scared sooner.
I remember that when we were looking at that Yorkville property and it was similar to this.
It is actually. About that.
Yeah, and we were kind of thinking like we could turn it into a venue or event venue or something. And so we looked at it, and then like later that day, you were like, okay, so, or maybe it was actually.
No, it was literally that day. I called you and I go, I think we should put an offer on it. And you go, oh, I already did. I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean, so to me, I mean, it was like in the beginning of our relationship. Right. To me, like putting in an offer, of course, like the first thing you're gonna do is put in an offer if the numbers make sense. So I put an offer, and you were kind of like, why would you do that? Like,
Well, I didn't know you could like put in an offer and it didn't really mean anything if you didn't want the property after the inspection. Like, you know, you can, a lot of people look at an inspection, they're like, oh man, it's $1,000 or whatever. They're bummed about that, but like that could save you so much more money if you're gonna buy the place, and it could save you from like walking into a money pit if you're gonna buy the place. So like either way, $1,000, it's a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but like in the grand scheme of investing, you've got to spend that money to like get it.
Yeah. But yeah, and so like your impression was we're like buying this house, and mine was like, this is just the first step in many to get this house. So, so yeah, again, it's like slowly introducing your spouse to these concepts.
And put an offer in on a house built in 1852.
Yeah.
That house was
like
a farmhouse.
all
Really.
right. So question number, I don't really like this question. Have Taryn flip it and ask you one or two questions at the end that she's curious about, or that she thinks the audience would be curious about maybe.
I want to know how many breeds of animals you're going to allow me to have on this farm.
Checking the question again, it says in parentheses, no animal questions, strictly real estate investing questions. I didn't write this.
No, you're right. I don't know. I'd say like, what advice do you have for, let's say, entrepreneurial, like wives or husbands of entrepreneurs who are watching this? Like, how can they be as supportive as possible? Like, what do I do that helps you the most, basically? Or what does it, like, why does it work? You know what I mean? Why does it work that?
Yeah.
Or how?
Yeah, I think number one is picking the right person. Like, you know, you should, like, if you're like if in your situation where you haven't picked a partner yet, and you're like, I'm not too sure if I want to marry this person, don't marry him. Like, you know, I mean, from my perspective, like I knew right away that I wanted to marry you, and you tell me the same thing. I don't know if it's true, but so I think that's, I mean, so many people like compromise, but if you're beyond that point, and you're just not like,
and you're like, shoot, I married the wrong person.
No, you're not necessarily married the wrong person, but you're in a relationship where you're not necessarily.
We've got the name of a lawyer.
That's right. But it goes back to like getting aligned on goals. Like, I think a lot of people are not in a happy situation with their spouse because, again, they're rowing in different directions. Like, they think that spouse like is on board, and instead like of listening to like what their spouse wants to do. Like with this house, I haven't said one time like we need to do this or we need to do that. Like, I know your strong suit is the design, and so I'm listening to like your vision, and I'll throw in a few things here and there. But you do the same thing with a ton of stuff. And so like, it's like listening to the other person and finding out what their goal is, and then phrasing your goals in a way where it's not like, we need to do this, we're going to go spend our whole savings on investing in real estate. It's like getting aligned on those goals. Once you do, I mean. Yeah,
so the moral of the story is, on your honeymoon at a romantic dinner in Mexico on the beach, say, I want to write down some goals right now.
That is the first piece of advice that I give to everyone.
And your wife might roll her eyes, but a year later, she'll be in good shape.
That's right.
Yeah.
No other questions? All right, wrapping it up then.
I want animals.
All right, so hopefully you've gotten something out of this video. This is the first in the whole series, that we're going to do here at this particular project. We're going to, chronicle the project, all like why we're buying this property, like why we're making the decisions we're making, like all the things that are going to go wrong once we open up these walls, which is inevitable on any project, and how we're going to work around it and make changes on the site. So definitely, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because that'll notify you when new videos are released. And if you're listening to this on the podcast on audio, you can go over to YouTube and you can subscribe there. Also, you can join the Living Off Rentals Facebook group. It's an awesome group, super engaged. We've got tons of previous podcast guests who are members of that group. So if you listen to a podcast and you have a question for the guest, then you can go to that group and you can tag them, you can ask your question, they'll answer you right there. So in the meantime, until the next video on this soon to be amazing project
Diamond in the
comes
rough.
out, this diamond in the rough comes out, you can continue your real estate investing education by clicking on one of the other 2 videos that just popped up to my right. I hope to see you in the Facebook group, but if not, I'll see you in the next video.